So we're live now. How y'all doing today, gentlemen?
Wonderful. What's up?
Amazing.
So can y'all first start off by introducing yourselves?
Yes. I'm Joshua Dixon.
I'm Robert Lee Hardy.
Brandon T.
I'm Dave Perry.
Easy Jackson.
That's what's up. And this is the cast of A Real Nigga Show.
Yes, sir.
We will be opening up actually this Saturday, August 29th at 7 p.m. For a virtual live streaming of their 17 years in the making production.
Hey, 17 years. 17 years.
So I'll start with Mr. Josh sitting right here in the middle. What is A Real Nigga Show to Mr. Dixon?
A Real Nigga Show is a all-male choreo poem that speaks to the plight of African American males, using the word nigga around the word nigga.
Can you tell us your origin? Like, how did you come to be a part of this ensemble?
I came a part of this in 2003. Robert and Easy came to the Arena Players to see a youth theater show, and they were working on putting together an original piece. And they wanted an all-male cast. And so at the end of the show, they connected with Mr. Burton and said that they would like for me to be a part of their journey, which became our journey. And so, so I became an original cast member and writer at 17.
At 17. At 17 years old, you were already in what you wanted to be, but at 17, what did you think this was going to be?
At 17, it was big because it's not really too. It wasn't too. It really wasn't no guys my age that were doing original pieces like this during that time, and even to today, there isn't a piece like this. It may have the structure
Or elements,
you know what I mean, but the quality of it is by far top notch.
there we go. I'm going to move over to Mr. Easy Jackson. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be a part of this group.
Well, I studied theater at the Baltimore School for the Arts, and Robert Lee Hardy and I come up together. I got introduced to people at the Arena Players when I was at the Baltimore School for the Arts. We would often, after school, walk down the street and check out what they were doing. Sometimes go to those plays. I would be around for rehearsals, and so I got to know Troy Burton and Robert Chu pretty well. But after high school, I left and went to the Navy for 4 years. And when I came home, I wanted to get involved in the Baltimore arts scene again, just in Baltimore arts period. I wanted to get back in the theater. Of course, I do music now and have done it for the past 15 years or so. And so the Arena Players, Robert really was the first person I went to. He and I talked a lot about wanting to do theater for our people. Our Baltimore, our West Baltimore, hood niggas, our family. For our family to come and something that would make our family come, the homies we grew up with that was, in the streets, stuff that would make them come to see theater. And so, like Josh and Robert will tell you, that's the story. Me and Robert went to Mr. Burton right away.
Mr. Brandon,
Yes.
let us know who you are, what you do, and how you became a part of this group.
I'm an actor. How I came to be a part of this is, I don't know, me, Robert, all of us always traveled in the same circle, but I never worked with anybody until I worked with Troy back in 2012, I believe, and then I think y'all did Nigga Show again in 2013, and that was the first time I actually saw it.
You came with your girl.
Yeah, I came and I saw it. I saw it twice actually, because I loved it. And then y'all were going to do another run in 2015, and one of the guys wasn't available, and they called me, and I jumped at the chance. That's how
So
I got it.
beyond stage, you've done film and
I've done film, television. I was on The Wire, of course. I don't know, man. I've been doing it since high school, so I got time I really can't stay in the game. About 17 years. Yeah.
and what is a real nigga show to you?
Brotherhood, man. I love these dudes, like my family. I love this cast, like cast and crew, like family. That's what it means. The stories you tell, these are stories that, you just know just because you experience it. And the experience it with these folks, man.
There we go. Mr. Davon? Yeah, thank you.
I'm big on Carey. I'm on the art scene in Baltimore. That's how I got picked up by the plays. Another guy dropped out, the light-skinned guy. Robert reached out to me. At first, I just wasn't sure, but I felt the love and I felt embraced. And they played a practical joke on me. I did it back when Brandon saw it the first time. He said, so, right there. That was my first time in any theater, in any kind of play, any kind of production. I was nervous.
Davon was a natural, man.
I mean, for real though.
That was the only time that we actually held an audition
Okay.
for the light skinned nigga. And we wanted we had an original light skinned nigga, and this one we wanted somebody with a little more originality. And Davon was everything we were looking for, because we weren't necessarily looking for somebody who had to be experienced in theater.
But they had to have heart and soul.
They had to have heart. They had to be willing to try. And Davon came in and he just took the reading, like he just made it his own right away, and we were like, yo, that's our guy.
Often first timers don't have all of those preconceived notions, so they can just be what is necessary.
Yeah.
My first question to the group, and anybody can take a stab at it. When I say Robert Chu, what comes to mind?
Genius, master.
Teacher.
Can somebody tell me Robert Chu's connection with this piece?
All of us. You know what I'm saying? All of us, from him and Troy Burton being brothers, to him being mentor and sensei, to myself, Josh, and Easy. I mean, every time I talk about him, I always get, kind of choked up or lost for words, but just everything that we just shouted out, all of that. He was also he was a foundation, a pillar. I can still feel it.
Yeah. In the early, Robert Chu, of course, the original member of a Real Nigga Show cast. And in those early days of doing the show, Troy served as director, and Robert Chu was like the acting coach. So a lot of the foundation of what you see us doing, I'm sorry, I get a little emotional talking about Chu too, but a lot of the foundation of what you see us do comes from specific directions that Chu gave us. Even though we wrote these pieces, he helped us pull it out. You know what I mean? And really explore and bring life to what we were talking about. Okay.
So the original three actors that's sitting here in front of us, they have a large connection with Robert Chu and his contribution to this piece. It remains. Can y'all tell me how y'all keep his name and his presence alive throughout the runs of this piece?
Well, first off, his picture is always on stage. And then for Josh, what better person to take over Robert Chu was the original nigga in the basement. And for Josh to take over that and give us some of his own nuances, like have some of Robert Chu's nuances and things like that, but to make it his own, like he's the original person that did it. And what better person to do it than someone that was a student of his, and then even now with the part that I'm doing with slang, that was originally like Robert Chu, which is like so dope to be able to be like, oh, I did the same thing Robert Chu did. Like it's dope, but it goes beyond just those of us who are playing roles that he played. Like Easy said, his voice, his insight, his brilliance, his salt, pepper, ketchup, and hot sauce is still on this thing. You know what I'm saying? And his Old Bay seasoning is still on this thing. His East Baltimore is still on this thing. And I can, that's why I think we all getting choked up, because every time we were talking the other night, like when we come back into space, it's just like, oh, okay, we back. And I literally can still feel him. And we've never let him go.
I've only worked under Mr. Chu one time, and that one thing that we worked on, it changed my whole way of how I approach anything that I do now. Just working with him at one time.
Can you share us a little bit of that with us?
He made me learn how to be hyper aware of everything. Everything and all the dynamics in my relationships to whoever I'm interacting with. And even then, listening more so than being ready to just say what I gotta say. He had me really listening to who I'm working with so I can go based on what they gave me. And just ever since then, man, that's just, he made me a way better actor than I was before.
Stepping into his shoes, Josh, and busting the seams out of him, like, can you speak to your experience with him and what it felt like that first time you uttered that real nigga in the basement?
I mean, every inkling of acting ability that I have, yes, of course, is from God, for sure. But the person who guided my talent was Robert Chu. Everything that I know about acting was from Robert Chu. And I went to school for art. Everything that I know, I learned from Robert Chu. We were doing Scrooge. I was 15 years old. And he took me through a whole process where he took me through this nuance thing, where it was like he broke down the entire script, and we went through the entire script just on nuance. How to move my face, how to raise my cheek, my eye, my eyebrows, little things like that. You know what I'm saying? Like that you wouldn't like. It was masterful. You know what I mean? I got a master class.
It's very apparent in your method, in terms of how you prepared. I see that in this how all of you guys are going at this. This is my first time behind the scenes. As an audience member, I've watched all of you grow with this piece. Speak to being the young 20-something teenager joining this cast now. Most of you have children and you got bills, and speak to that journey that you've all taken over the last 17 years.
That's it's a beautiful thing that to still have passion. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many people, whether it's an actor or a writer or a painter or a dancer or an architect or whatever it is, like life throw you some motherfucking curveballs. And you be wanting to say, fuck it, fuck that, fuck you, fuck y'all.
Fuck me.
But sometimes, fuck me. No, I know I've been there. But it's a beautiful thing to still have that passion. Passion is everything, and that indomitable spirit to keep going. And as simple as that is, You know, my godmother used to always say, everything is done in simplicity. But Robert, simplicity is one of the hardest things to accomplish. But it's that simple.
Right.
Keep the passion. And here we are, 17 years later.
When I first came, I just was listening to stories that everybody was telling, you know, and just soaking it all in and living vicariously through, like what y'all would say about Robert Chu. I never met him. I just saw him on the wire. You know, I never knew he had anything to do with the play, so y'all kept talking about him. You know what I'm saying? But it was a moment, like, once in the line of rehearsal that you and Robert Easy were talking about what y'all wrote. Troy was, you know, yeah, I know what y'all was writing. Like, you know what I mean? We always had a moment, like, talking about it, and I was listening, like, wow. So then this time around, 7 years later, you know, the second time we did the play, I wrote and you thought I was him. This time around was my moment, like they had, like I'm reading the script, and like I just got, you know, really choked up. Just reading my own words that I wrote years ago for the play. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, this is what the fuck Robert Easy, that same moment they had. You know what I'm saying? This is, but I like, you know, like you said, curveballs and all that. You know, I got kids, I got problems and bills and all that shit. So what I wrote just was like really resonated with me.
Anybody else
I
want to
think
take a step?
Brandon said something earlier about this being like a family. You know, I think about me and Robert were 22. Like I said, Josh was 17, and I'll be 40 next week. I'm looking.
I'll be 34.
Robert got that Benjamin button. I ain't get that lucky. But when I look at this piece now, and I read some of this stuff, and then I think about the 22-year-olds that I interact with now, and I'm like, wow, like we went through a lot growing up, and we saw a lot growing up. So I wouldn't say, you know, I think jokingly we said we didn't know what we were writing at the time, but I think we were very aware of what we were writing. You know, we were very, very in tune to what we were writing, and it's impressive to me to be 40 and look back at what we wrote when we were 22 and 17, and say, I can still stand by this. You know what I'm saying? I'm not embarrassed by any of this. I'm not ashamed of any of this. I support this 100% as if, you know, if somebody else wrote it, because somebody else did write it. I'm not the same nigga I was when I was 22. So when I look back at that guy, I'm like, wow, you went through a lot. You saw a lot, and it's a blessing to have a Troy Burton help you bring that to life. And over the years, you know, he's been there for me. I had my first child. He gave me a book about fatherhood. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of things. We weren't doing the production at the time. You know what I'm saying? That Troy is a family. And he's always treated us that way. So it's always a blessing to come back from this.
I wanted to touch on, go ahead, Brandon.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, just talk about growing into it. I've seen, when I first saw it in 2013, and up until now, like some things have changed, there's been new pieces added, but I'm telling you, I watch these guys every day, and just the adjustments and just the growth and just the life experiences that you take just from 2013, just from what I saw in 2013, not counting what y'all already went through from 2003 up until now, but just from 2013 to now, just all the life that we lived, it just, you feel things so much more. I feel things so much more than I did when I first did it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
There's a piece in The Poison where I talk about my brother, my little brother, and Robert comes out. And at that time, my little brother was in and out of juvenile detention centers and stuff like that. And I say, the poison that had my little brother locked down, fiending to kick him with. Well, my brother's dead now. And so there's a moment when I look at Robert, we do that part that touches me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, wow, the poison still got him. You know what I'm saying? It still hit him. And so it means even more when I say it now than it did, because then he was alive. And then I knew that I was talking about a living person that still had a chance to beat it, to overcome it, to change. You know what I'm saying? And you're looking at three brothers in this cast now who all have lost our little brothers. You know, all have lost our brothers. So it's that's what I mean. You know, the piece still stands. You know, and not only does it stand, it grows. You know, you learn more and more about what is in this piece as you get older and have more life experience.
I want to first, because we're wrapping up, but I want to say to you all are spoiled in that this is not an experience that we get specifically in Black theater, but in theater in general. You all have a level of ownership with this piece because those are most of your words. You know, we have a little bit of Mama Jackie, a little bit of Mama Strawberry in this, but a lot of this is your own personal experience. Speak to the ownership that you have. You just did so, and that's why I think you grow with this piece so well, because it's you. It's your words, your experiences. But speak to the level of ownership that you have as a responsibility in this, or what is your responsibility to the ownership of it?
I think the responsibility and the ownership is to tell our stories.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to do that, specifically Baltimore stories, because there's so many times, like, I remember one of my friends asked me before, like, why every time you see somebody from Baltimore on TV or something like that, you get so excited, why you get so pumped? And I'm like, because we didn't grow up in New York, we didn't grow up in LA. It might have been like John Robert Powers or whatever the fuck agency came here and that was some bullshit that took your money, but if we did it, we had to get out and go and give them our spirit. And so the thing that makes me so happy and grateful about being a part of this is that we got to tell a story, but then it became contagious. And then, you know, one thing I pray for every day is to be in rhythm. And these brothers are new, but they were in rhythm with what we doing. And we owned it, and we got to tell our fucking story from Baltimore, east side, west side, south side, wherever you're from. We got to tell it. This ain't Brooklyn, this ain't Harlem, shout out to them, but this is a Baltimore Renaissance. And whatever.
And it's not an outsider telling the story of a Baltimorean. It's the bread. You all were raised up in this. Tanelia, she says, hello, guys. She said, I saw the original.
Tanelia, what's up, baby?
I saw the original show twice. How has the show matured over the years?
Well, this year in particular, and even before we had to do it this, you know, this kind of quarantine way of, you know, live streaming, Troy wanted to implement film in the show. And actually, me and Josh was just standing outside with Brandon last night. We were talking about this, and I said that this time around, doing it for film, I think the timing is right. I don't think that if we would have done this in front of cameras 17 years ago, we would have been ready to actually deliver it the way we're able to deliver it now, with not just the understanding, but the intentions and direction in which we, you know, now have to put towards the camera, where, you know, normally we would put to actual bodies in the theater. So I think kismet has happened, and you know, kind of fate, in that we've been able to grow as people with the show.
Anybody else want to take a stab at it? You can answer from the perspective of yourself. How have you matured, or how have you seen the piece mature? The director, the rest of the crew. How has this grown with you? Anybody else?
I just go ahead. I heard you.
No. I was just going to say, just the older I get, the words just hit different. It just do.
Okay.
Just the way I would have said a line then is way different than how I would say it or feel it even now. You know, it's just different.
And another blessing is as far as the growth is concerned, like, I know George since he was 5 and I was 18 months. But I know George since he was 5 and I was 10 years old. And I've known his grandmother, Sandra Meekins, you know, during that time as well. And to have her as the original stage manager still here, getting thrown curveballs, getting hit like this, getting hit like that. The fact that she's still here, you know what I'm saying? Like, to do this and to run stuff and the type of the scripts and all of that, the fact that you have a rock the fact that you have a diamond, that's the stage manager, that's a real West Baltimore mother, that's everything.
So I'm gonna ask you all our last question because we gotta wrap up so we can get to the show. But think of one line in the show that signifies who you are or your contribution to this, or that line that kind of sticks with you. While you're thinking of that, I'm gonna read a message from one of your fellow past castmates, Mr. Mel. He says, "I love you all to life. Wish I could be a part of this new journey with you, my brothers. Burton, you continue to amaze me with your vision, and you have come so far from the director I saw 15 years ago. We created something almost 2 decades ago, and the evolution is something that I could never foresee. Knock it down, fellas. Peace, blessings, and it is truly because of all my brothers that a new nigga lives here.
Whoa.
Love you,
Come on,
OG
Mel.
nigga."
Come on. Love you, man. Love you, man.
Love you, boy.
So we're gonna close out with that one line that kind of signifies your contribution or your part in this big pot.
I will be your brother. Count on me.
Anybody else?
It's not my line, but I would be more than was expected to keep my people connected. I like when you say that.
First time I saw the show, I sat right there, right second, first row, second seat. And when Easy was doing a new Nicholas said he has a line that it always stuck with me. I know I told it to him before, I said it a million times. A mind once stretched by a new idea can never return to its original dimension.
Okay.
And it's just keep learning, keep learning.
I'm with Mel, but a new nigga lives here. I haven't been the same since I first did this show.
Mr. Josh, you can close this out.
Thought I was
Thank you, fellas. And
Thank
say
you,
goodbye to
ladies,
everybody.
gentlemen, and niggas.
There we go.